So in this video, I'm going to draw a animal skull for my next book called Wild and Witchy. So let's get started. The first thing I always do, if you've watched any of my videos, you know this about me, I always pick a blue because I'm going to lay down the first draft of what I'm going to draw first, and then I will draw my coloring page over it. So this one is going to be an animal skull. I'm going to make my line a little bit bigger here. Over here I can slide my line weight. And then I'm just drawing out the shapes of the skull first, just to get a feel for what it will look like. And then I think kind of mouth comes down like this. We're gonna have like sort of nose area here, like that. Have some stuff coming up. I actually don't know what animal this is, but it looks cool, so it'll look neat in my new coloring book. I'm using a reference photo from Pexels to create this image. So I accidentally had it on distort. So I'm actually going to back that out. I'm just double tapping to go back to where I was. I'm going to click uniform. Alright, so I'm changing my color to black because that's what the line color is going to be, adding a layer. And you know what, I might even add, I'm going to go back to my first layer. I'm going to add a couple of I think maybe I'll add like a feather or something coming off here. Maybe I'll do like a set of crystals. It's too big. This isn't part of the reference photo, but this is why I like to create a bottom layer. I like to just add a couple of little details. You know, oops. Always use your reference image, but never copy things. It's not good to copy. You don't want to be that person that's just making the same thing everybody else is making. Alright, I'm going to start with my horns. So it's okay if they don't look the same size, because, oops. Oh, why can't I get that? There you go. Yeah, it's okay if they're not exactly the same size, because they rarely are in nature, so. Alright, so I'm going to come up like this. I'm actually going to do the whole shape of it first. And sometimes something I like to do in Procreate is I won't, unless I'm confident I can make the whole line in one swipe, I will do segments of a line, because then you can double tap to undo and redo. But if you do the whole line in one and you only mess up a tiny section, then you either have to erase or start over. The only problem with that is that then you end up having to fix up some of your lines. So I'm not going to worry too much about going over parts that I've already drawn, because I'm going to erase later. Okay. So I just looked up animal skull on Pexels. Pexels, you can use reference images, or I learned that from another creator on here. I think it was 1000 that I learned that from. So I use Pexels. I don't like to use other people's drawings as references, because then you're just basically copying. So I always like to use, So I always like to use actual images of things, like in real life stuff. That way you don't end up just copying what other people are doing, because that's unethical and actually illegal, and people have done it to me and I don't like it. So don't copy other people's work. That's all I'm saying. I actually don't even like to look at other people's work a lot of the time, because if I do, then I'm influenced by it. And I don't want that. Yeah, so that's supposed to be like kind of the interior part. It's not really looking like it though. Okay, I think I'll delete those lines and just go like that for now. Oops. See, I'm still learning too. I'm not like total pro or anything. I just put myself out there more than most people do. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with learning in public. All right. So I think that's looking pretty decent. Going to add my feathers and stuff, so I'm going to create a new layer. And I always like to, when creating a coloring page, I always like to add thick areas that people can color. I'm actually going to do my feathers on a separate layer so that I can do something with them. Okay, so I did that because I want to so I'm lowering the opacity of that last layer, and I'm gonna go back over that. So now I have the actual size that I want, but I'm gonna go in to that layer. I'm still in that layer, and I want to just kind of go like this to get because feathers have sort of a line down the middle. So while I'm still in that layer, I want to add some lines to help me make this look more feathery, like that. And I'll do the same thing here. It's kind of getting lost in the shuffle here, but you get the idea. Okay, so that layer is lower in opacity, so I'm going to go back on my top layer and I'm going to do one at a time. So I'm just redoing that line. I'm going to sort of do the same thing. I'm going to lower my brush size. I'm going to create a new layer. And actually, you know what? I'm not even going to bother creating a new layer. I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to create my little feather details. The nice thing about having thick lines too is you can start inside the line and end inside the line, so it's easier to clean up your lines afterwards. Okay, so then I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to increase the size of my brush back to the one I need for this feather here. I'm going to lower my brush size again, and I'm basically doing the same thing. I might even make these a little bit closer together. So each one of these will give the person who's coloring something to color. So if they want to do each one of these sections a different color, they can. And I know it might sound silly to draw things, let me finish my thought. It might sound counterproductive to draw things that are under things that you're going to erase later, but I feel like if you draw the whole thing, then it just looks better than if you do it in little pieces. So, all right, so I'm gonna delete that. I'm going to turn that off so you can see. And then I'm going to go back into this layer and I'm going to just erase this section. Now I could have instead added a white background underneath this one feather, but I don't know, I just don't want, I prefer to just the whole thing just be clean. But that's up to you. You can do whatever you're comfortable with. Actually, I'm just going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to erase that bottom so it looks like it's hanging off the thing. Turning my background layer on, I know I've got a couple of crystals on that background layer that I want to draw. So I'm going to do that now. And I'm going to just have them hanging from sorry, I stopped thinking. I'm gonna have them hanging from that same loop. I don't like how that turned out. I'm gonna do it in one pass. Oh, don't like that either. Okay. I'm gonna lower my opacity a little bit. And then I want to, or my brush size, sorry. I just want to give it a little bit of a crystal feel. And I'm going to add a couple more details. I think actually I'm going to add one to this side. I wasn't originally going to do that, but I don't know, I just feel like I want to now. See how it would just be easier for me to do the whole circle? Then it just makes more sense to do the whole circle than it is to do just a section of it. Get that line a little tiny bit there. And I'm going to clean this up while I'm thinking about it. Don't forget. And there's a little line right here that's bugging me. There you go. All right. So this side is just going to be simple. Turn off this back layer so you can see what I'm working with here. I just want a couple of little, like maybe just some tiny little things hanging. Maybe we have another little crystal. Just like that. Yeah, I don't want it to be too much. I actually think that might be too much. I think I'm gonna do just a little like that. I just want it to be a little bit. And then I'll do the same thing that I did over there. Just add a couple of details. I might actually go like this. And make this down a little bit. Make that into like another little crystal. Alright, so now I'm just going to create another layer and I'm going to add just some little details to the skull just to make it look a little more, I don't know, I don't want to say realistic because it obviously doesn't look realistic, but just to add some interest. The skulls are not perfect, so we want to just add like little cracks and stuff. We want to make it look kind of, I don't know that I like that. Maybe I'll add them out here like this. Some little cracks. Kind of like that. And clean up this line a little bit. Ooh. Clean up this line a little bit. And I'm not loving how this has turned out here. So I'm gonna just do a couple things in here. And I'm going to add, I don't even know if I'm going to like the way this looks, but I'm going to add some darkness here, like this. I could have just filled this in, but I didn't. And then I'm going to lower the opacity to see how I like that. Maybe it's shadowy in there or whatever. Yeah, I don't mind that. And then I might do the same thing here. Lower the opacity just to give it a little shadow. I think I'm liking that. I might add one more little detail. I'm going to lower that. Maybe I'll just do a little crack right there. Maybe I'll do one right there, like that. Cool. I think that looks pretty good. So if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.